Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's special presentation of CRC Music in the Studio. Today, we are joined by Gabriel Rivera, who is usually our person behind the curtain, running all of the audio and video in the studio. But today, I'd like to invite Gabriel to come out from behind the curtain and join us on our virtual stage. Hi, Gabriel.
Hello.
How's it going?
How's it going, Lisa?
It's
Good,
going
good.
pretty good. How's your day going?
Pretty good. Got coffee set here for today.
Same.
So we're off to a good start.
Nice.
That's a good mug. I like
Yeah.
that mug.
Oh, yeah. I really like it. It's a photo mug. Me and my friends' kids. And that's really cute.
Nice.
Puts me in a nice mood.
I need to get one of those. The only photo mug, it's not even a photo mug. I have this old mug back home that it just says my name and then a T-Rex printed. And it's still my favorite mug every time I go back home, but it has to be very old and it's all faded out, but it's still cool.
It's a
That
classic.
T-Rex just going like, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, cool. Well, we're caffeinated. We're live. Let's roll. So
Do it.
I want to tell the folks a little bit about what you do at CRC.
Okay. So let's see. At CRC, I'm the instructional assistant for the music department. And what entails with that? Well, I do a lot of things and depends on what time of the year we're at, either at the beginning of the semester or at the end of the semester. Either by coordinating concerts when we were on ground or renting out instruments, helping a student with different, like with theory, piano, different classes, so tutor students, be like a liaison with other departments, work with the chair and all the full-time faculty, work with the dean. So it's a little bit of everything, working with, for example, right now, during COVID times, while editing this in the studio videos.
Yeah.
So that's one of the other things. So I guess my doing concerts, it turned out to editing videos, creating not flyers, but social media advertisement for our events. And the list goes on.
Yeah, on and on. Basically, anytime something comes up and we're like, let's do this brand new project. Let's ask Gabriel.
Let's try to do it. Yeah.
We should do this. Yeah. Cool.
Well, but with that thought, I've actually learned a lot of skills,
Yeah.
like from graphic designing to video editing. I'm not saying that I'm great at it because I'm not. Like for in the studio videos, I like the end outcome, but I'm pretty sure that a professional video editor could do it in an hour. And for me, it just takes an eternity. It's like I'm probably doing everything the wrong way, but I like the outcome. So
Yeah.
I mean, it works, but but yeah, you have to like diversify yourself to different fields. And
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah. And that's totally what we had to do during the pandemic too. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, everything's moving online. So we're going to need you to also be a video editor and a content producer and a social media manager and go. And you've done that.
Yeah.
So thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for the opportunity to let me do this. And as I mean, this is, I don't know which number, it's probably like the 30 something, or we're almost hitting like 40 in the studios. And yeah, because I know that we have like 30 something on our YouTube playlist. And remembering like from the first one we did back in, I think it was fall 2020. Yeah, fall 2020 to now fall 2021. I mean, we've evolved a lot, at least in the production side, of making everything try to work, not clicking the wrong screen, that sort of thing. That's been cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think back to, fall 2020 seems like it was 20 years ago, but
it does feel like that.
Remember the first one, just being like, all right, we're gonna do this thing and see what happens. And I hope people come, and they did. And yeah, learned a lot.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's been good. We should do something kind of special for our 50th episode.
Ooh, that's a great idea. And that's going to come up probably this semester.
Yeah. I don't know what in the closest window because the squirrels are making a lot of noise.
That's fine.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, like get a sheet cake. I don't know how we'd all eat it, but I feel like,
Well, we can make it work somewhere.
yeah, Amari suggests in the chat we should do a highlight reel.
Yes.
Every guest ever at once. Oh, that'd be kind of
Yes,
fun.
we should definitely do that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
In the studio, all stars special event. That'd be cool. Oh man.
Oh.
So something I thought we could do today, Gabrielle, is I don't know, just get to know you a little better. I mean, we
Okay.
know all the things you do at CRC and in the studio, but I mean, you wear a lot of hats and you're also a musician and a composer. And I thought maybe a nice way to start would just, I don't know, let's get like the behind the scenes like life story. So maybe tell us a
Okay.
little bit about, how you came to be a musician and how'd you get here?
Okay. So we're gonna go far back in time. Not that far back in time. It hasn't been that long. But okay. So for those of you who don't know, I'm from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I lived there for most of my entire life. I haven't lived in Puerto Rico since 2014, I think.
Mm.
And I'll get to that point why I moved. But yeah, I always been interested in music from an early age, but it didn't start till I was 11 or 12, I think. And then the reason I started because my dad plays piano, so I would listen to him play, and it's like, this is really cool. I want to learn. And at some point, my dad put me in piano classes, and I still remember like the day I said, "This is what I want to do for the rest of my life." And one of those piano lessons, and I remember the name of my first piano teacher, Antoinette. Antoinette. Oh, I'm forgetting her last name now. So she was French. Oh, I forgot her last name. No, but Antoinette. She was a hard teacher, but I was with her like for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, 2000. I think I started like in 2000 or 2001, somewhere around those lines. And then after that, I just continued playing piano. I mean, and that's my main instrument. So I started with piano, and to this day, it's still my main instrument. I went to high school, and I always knew like I wanted to continue studying music, like for my career. So when I turned about 17 or 18, it was time to decide to go to college and what I wanted to do. So I wanted to either go to marine biology or music. And this is back, I don't know, I like marine wildlife, and to this day. So but I went with the music route. So at the time, I wasn't ready to enter as a piano major. Like my piano skills weren't there. So my piano professor at the time suggested to go in with during the composition degree, because I already he noticed that I have an interest in writing music. This was my second piano teacher. So I was like, okay, we'll start with the composition and then I'll change to piano. So I was accepted at the Conservatorio de Música de Puerto Rico as a composition major. And after that, I never switched. I love composition. Yeah. So I never went back to piano or never thought back. Piano as a performer or like a classical performer or anything, because I still play to this day. But yeah, not classically or anything.
You are surrounded by
mostly for my
behind you.
I am. And there's still one more, but it's just hidden over here. I do like, but I can see you have a keyboard back there too.
Yeah, I do. It's back there.
Never used, but it's there just in case.
Used it a couple times. Pretty rusty skills. Awesome. So you went to college and majored in composition. Awesome.
Yes,
and then,
I majored in composition.
Yeah. How did you decide to keep pursuing your studies into graduate school?
So I actually took like a year, almost 2 years off. And during that time, I continued composing, continued doing music, but I also worked in, I don't know, like as a barista. I worked as a court reporter, did like really random stuff for 2 years. And then I was like, I want to continue this. So I applied for a master's in composition at Michigan State, and then I got accepted. So I went there and studied with Professor Ricardo Lorenz, a Venezuelan composer. And I started in 2014 and up to 2016. And a little bit after that, I moved to California. So the day after I defended my master's thesis, I got on a plane and moved to California.
Nice. And here you are.
And here I am.
Yeah. How'd you
I think
come
I've been
to work
here almost
at
5
CRC?
years.
5 years. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did I came to work for CRC? Well, I moved here. I didn't have a job or anything. So it took me. So I had a random job for a couple of months, and then I saw this posting for an instructional assistant at CRC. And it was really hard to find a job in music and in education, in the sense that I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any connections. So it was a little uphill battle for me. And then I found this, I can't remember where I found it. I think Chronicle Education or somewhere. And I applied for it. And after I got interviewed, and boom, I got the job. And this would be the start of my 5th year, maybe 5th year, I think.
Nice.
So that's how I got to CRC.
Cool. And we're up to the present moment.
Yeah, we're up to the present. I mean, I could fill in all the there's more gaps there, but like how my music has evolved during these years, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna have a chance to hear some of your music today, which will be really awesome. Yeah,
I'm excited to present my music. It's been a while that I haven't presented anything.
yeah.
My last performance was I think with the CRC Composers Ensemble in probably the semester before the pandemic, I think.
Cool. Well then, yeah, maybe we should turn to listen to some music.
Okay, so
and this is usually the time where we'd say, Gabriel, please play someone's music. And I guess at this time you're playing your own music, but
So do you want to talk about the piece now, or should we wait and talk about it later?
Whichever you'd like. You're the composer, dealer's choice.
Okay, well, in this case, I'll talk a little bit about this. So this is one of the more recent things I've been working on. I've been trying to do like an album. Well, originally when I started this piece, I thought I was going to do like a meditation piece, and it definitely did not turn like that. It's called In the Groove. I really got in the groove with the Moog Mother 32 synth, and I just kept going like for 5 or 10. I think the piece is actually 10 minutes, but at some point I stopped and it's like, okay, that's enough. And it's like, for me, it's like a meditative process of, I start adding sounds here, there. Most of the piece is in one take. There might be sounds that I added later while recording, but definitely I was playing, and you're gonna see there was a piano and a Moog that they're usually playing in sync. And yeah, so this is more of the type of music I've been doing lately, more electronic, more analog synth, which I love and I want to get more into. So yeah, I'm gonna give let's play it.
Awesome.
And see what everyone thinks. So this is called In the Groove, because I was in the groove. So it's going to be an audio clip, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay. Awesome. So that was In the Groove by Gabriel
In the
Rivera.
groove.
In the Groove. And we were grooving.
I was bobbing my head
Me too. Me too. It
to
was
my own
awesome.
music. I
Right? I mean, if you don't like it,
mean, why not?
why
Yeah.
not? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a question while we were listening in the chat about
Mhm.
what kind of DAW or digital audio workstation you use. And then another great question in the chat, what kind of inspired you to compose this piece?
Right. So for the first question, I use either Logic or Pro Tools depending on what I'm doing. I prefer using Logic for more virtual instruments, MIDI, when working with MIDI or virtual instruments. But in this case, for this piece, I used Pro Tools because almost everything was actually analog, so it wasn't actually like a live instrument. So I did it. I used Pro Tools, but it comes and goes. Sometimes I use Logic more. Sometimes I use Pro Tools more. There's other software I do like, but I don't use that much anymore, like Reaper. And it all depends if I there. I mean, it all. I guess it's dependent on my mood at the moment, and different pieces require different effects. Sometimes in the sense like maybe I record like a live piano piece, but there might be an air conditioning in the recording, which this actually happened yesterday, so that's why I'm bringing it up. And Adobe Audition has a very good sound remover, so you can take that frequency of the air conditioning and remove it. So it's it all depends. And sometimes I might use various. So like for this piece, I started it in Pro Tools, but then the final mastering I did it in somewhere else. So it's like what Patrick is saying. It's very typical to use multiple DAWs, and it's very. I mean, as a musician, you should be able to use know at least the basis of recording or in a DAW, and maybe knowing a little bit about one or two softwares.
That segues so nicely into some of the classes you teach at CRC. So at CRC, we have many certificates, and one of which I believe is audio production. That's in the works. And tell us a little bit about the classes you teach for that certificate.
So right now I am teaching audio. It's called Muslim 346, Muslim 347, but it's called Audio and Music Production 1 and 2. And what I'm doing is, like what the title says, teaching the basis of audio and music production using Pro Tools. So when we were on campus, we were using Logic, but during the pandemic, not everyone has the same computer, same specs, or not everyone has Apple, because Logic can only run on a Mac. So I decided to use Pro Tools because it works on both PC and Mac. And it's also the industry standard for audio recording for the most part. So it was like, it's a good, if you're starting to at least start in the right spot. There's a learning curve to Pro Tools, but it's a really cool software. And as I mentioned, it is the industry standard for some projects and for some settings. So it's good for everyone to learn a little bit about it.
Cool.
But yeah, when we cover a little bit about the audio history of audio, a little bit theory behind audio, and then we go into the software.
Cool. So once you learn how to be proficient with one digital audio workstation, do you find that then learning a new one comes a bit easier once you have some of that theory behind it?
It does, but at the same time, it doesn't. So one good example, for editing in the studios, I've been using Adobe Premiere, which is a video editing software. And I don't know, I spent the whole day using it, so I kind of got used to the shortcuts. And then when I went to Pro Tools do something, I'm like, why isn't this working? Because I had the shortcuts of the other software. But then if you add to that mix Logic, which has its own other shortcuts, then your mind is a mess. And, it's like, where do I go? This is a good thing. Like they sell how do you call it? Keyboards with the shortcuts for different softwares. But yeah,
That's cool. Neat. So if folks want to learn how to use Pro Tools, they should take your classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but going back to what you were saying, once you learn the basics of one software, it's fairly easy to transfer at least the main ideas to another software. It might be called differently and from Logic to Pro Tools, actually very differently. But once you find the term, how they call it in software A, software B, it's doing the same thing, just recording audio, recording MIDI. So at the end, it's the software that better helps your workflow. So if you're like a composer and you like writing music, you write music for film, you might like working with Pro Tools, but you might like the workflow from Logic, or I don't know, Cubase or other software around.
Cool. Neat. So what inspired you then to write in the groove? And you mentioned this is kind of a newer interest of yours, or kind of I'll say a current phase, but something that you're just kind of recently become interested in writing this style of music.
So I have to blame a friend of mine, René Bosio, which is a film composer, and he started getting into modular synthesis, and putting out these posts and scores with like his huge rack, like a rack with a Moog and all. It's beautiful. I love it. And the more I saw, it's like I love the sound. So after, we're going back like 2 years ago, after like really considering it, my wife Jamila got me the Moog for my birthday, or it was for Christmas. I can't remember because and ever since I've been tinkering it with it, and every time I record, I'm really trying to learn something new of what I can do, and then transfer it to composition. Not all of the compositions actually sound good. Some sound really horrible. Some have a lot of mistakes. For example, this one, I know there are mistakes in there, but I know that if I'm not gonna get in that groove again, it's gonna be really hard for me to feel what I was feeling that day. And I could try to go in there, add stuff to it, but it's not gonna be the same. So I do prefer having those little mistakes that maybe I'm the only one conscious about, but the essence. I prefer the essence of the piece than me messing with it.
That's cool. So it's really representative of a moment in time. Like it's that evokes that moment. That's cool.
And that happens a lot to me with a lot of compositions that if for some reason I didn't finish it and I try to finish it maybe 2 or 3 years later, it takes me a while to get into the zone I was 2 years ago, or when I start trying to finish the piece, I start tinkering it too much that at a point it's like, this is a different composition. And I think a lot of composers probably have that issue to some point, to some extent.
Yeah, composers in the house, let us know in the chat if that reflects your experience or not.
I know we got a few here.
Oh yeah. It's like, is there a doctor on the plane? Is there a composer in the Zoom? So I was wondering if maybe, for folks who are joining us today who are new to music, could you tell us a little bit about what a Moog synthesizer is, what it does, how you make it make sound? Tell us a little bit more about it if you could.
Okay. So a Moog synthesizer, so it's an analog instrument. So it sends a signal, usually a sine wave, so that it's gonna go like boo. And to that, you start adding oscillators. You might, if depending on so what you heard was with the Moog, so it only does one note at a time. It's a mono synth. And for example, in that recording, I might have added different layers of the Moog. And yeah, simply put, it sends that signal, and then you can start adding these filters to it, and modifying the sound, or change the sound wave, maybe from a sine wave to a square wave, or another type of wave, and it tinkers the sound so you get like a different and I'm gonna say different instrument because it's still gonna sound like a move. But with that same analog sense, I can create like drum beats too. They sound very 8-bit sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's really cool. But that's also the basis for a lot of virtual instruments. It all starts with a sound wave or like a sine wave, and you start creating layers to it and then modifying the textures to that sound until you recreate a violin by additive synthesis, which is, it's really cool to learn, hard to explain, but that's how a lot of virtual sounds are created. You start with just one simple line, unless whatever you're working with actually has samples. So for example, like this, I know for a fact this is actually done. So they record the piano in different, they record everything, right? Note by note at different tempos, and I'm not tempo, different dynamics, and they sample it into the computer, and boom, voila, you get that sound.
Electric keyboard is born.
Yeah. And as Judy's saying there, it was created in 1964.
Yeah, and there's a really cool video on the internet with Wendy Carlos, who is one of the composer pioneers of the Moog synthesizer. She created an album called Switched on Bach, where she kind of reinterpreted some of Bach's compositions using a Moog synthesizer. She also composed the soundtrack to Disney's Tron, the original Tron.
Yes,
with Bridges.
It's really cool, right? Yeah.
Classic film, must see, wonderful soundtrack. And I know, yeah, that's all online too, but cool.
I do also like the second soundtrack, the remake
soundtrack. Oh yeah,
by Daft Punk. It's really cool. But then I'm a big Daft Punk fan, so I'm a fan.
I saw that one in the theater. Yeah. It was worth it.
Yeah.
I was like, take my money.
Yeah.
Cool, geeking out on the synths. So, one thing we like to do when we have these in the studios is kind of think about how we can inspire the awesome students that we get to work with at CRC, and what kind of advice or wisdom we can impart on them that then they can interpret for their own situation and aspirations. So, Gabriel, with your hard-won wisdom from experience, what's your advice to our students and to aspiring musicians and aspiring composers?
Okay, you have to be at the top of your instrument, your composition, on top of your game. You have to try to be the best at your current ability. Try to be the best, and a lot of things with music, it's being at the right place and being ready. Being always ready for an opportunity, because if you get that opportunity and you're not ready and you say no, that's a door you might close forever. So always being ready and always being try to be the best version of yourself in your instrument and your composition every time. Not meaning it might not be the best performance you might have today, but you're going to get better with time. So always practice. If you're a composition major, I recommend always be proficient at some instrument, because you're at some point you are going to you're going to have to play your own pieces, and also learn how to conduct a little bit. I think something that you should as a composer. I mean, and also be multifaceted. So maybe know how to record audio. You're gonna at some point edit your own videos, so at least do that. Learn how to do that. But yeah, the way life works, usually it's random encounters, and that's how our opportunities are. You just got to be ready for it.
Yeah, I'm taking notes on that. Be ready. Be ready. I also like what you said, have as many tools in your toolkit as you can.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a composer, being able to record your work and polish it to get it out there, to have your portfolio, have some conducting skills so you can guide people to perform your work. Yeah, those are really practical.
And one more thing, or it's
Yeah.
actually two. So the student your student colleagues that you're with now, hopefully they're also going to be professionals in the future, and you know, always having good communication with your friends, musician friends, because that could be a contact in a future point in life. You know, so always maintain that communication there, because that's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
So the
Support
more
your
musician friends you
community.
have, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's really true. Really true. I think, yeah, in the chat, networking is everything. I know, Omar, hashtag be ready. Luck favors the prepared. Yes, absolutely. And
Yeah,
maintaining a
that's true.
support group. Yeah. I mean, I think back to being in graduate school and, you know, working as a musician. Friends have been so supportive. At times I've wanted to quit with having words of encouragement, but also, you know, helping each other find gigs. And, you know, someone asks, oh, hey, Lisa, I need someone with this very specific skill set. Can you recommend someone? Yes, yes, I can.
Exactly. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. No, that's
Was
very
there?
true.
Yeah.
I
I
was
was going
gonna
to
say
ask
the
another
math,
question, but no, keep going.
all right, I was gonna say that the masters usually it's, I don't know anybody like during the masters didn't have a hard time, right? At least
Yeah.
at some point. It's hard.
Yeah.
I
What were
started
some of the
losing hair when I
challenges you
started my
found
masters.
when you were a master's
And
student?
during my masters, I guess at first, because since I was 2 years off, trying to find the groove again and to go back into class, being away from home, Michigan winters, Michigan winters and winters. They
They're
would
no
they would get a
joke.
little. They're no joke. I mean, Midwest winters. Yeah, they're pretty, but then they last like 5 months, and it's like, ooh,
They're beautiful until you
yeah,
have to shovel out your
yeah,
car
they're
at
beautiful.
6 a.m.
Exactly. Or you slip on your bike when it's snowing or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never learned to take the bus that much, so I always bike. But I learned my lesson after a few times. Never bike after it snows, then it gets icy and then you slip. So
Right, people watching this, if you only take away one thing from today's in the studio, let it be. Don't ride your bike after it
let it
snows.
be. All right.
Oh, that's great. Oh, then so we've kind of checked in about, you know, having a support group. Who are some people who, you know, really have inspired you and helped you? I know you already mentioned that your dad is sort of the
Mm-hmm.
reason that you're a musician. He inspired you by playing the piano. Who are some other musicians, teachers, friends who inspired or mentored you or kind of helped you out so far on your journey?
So I think I would have to start with my family. My family always been very supportive. My great grandfather, he's always been very supportive of, well, was very supportive of me playing piano. You know, my entire family, they've always been very supportive. My mom, my sisters. So my brother, he's the one that actually got me my first audio interface when I was I don't know, I still remember it was like a task and something, and then he got me a computer so I could use it. I might have been like 13 or 14. So like I have always had this good support from my family. For me, as an aspiring musician and composer. But like in the music world, that I would have to say I had a lot of professors that in some way or the other they have changed the way I write in a good way. You know, you learn from learn from everyone. It's the same thing that I don't think you should spend your entire like 4 years during your undergrad with the same professor. At least in composition, you should, you know, move once or twice so you can learn from somebody else. It's a great opportunity to learn. Um, but I would have to say like my my composition professor in Puerto Rico, Alfonso Fuentes, he was a very good inspiration for me, because when I started, I knew I wanted to study with him. So I was lucky that they actually put me to study with him. He's a great composer. He's a great pianist. So if you're looking for new music, look for Alfonso Fuentes. He's a great composer, and he's a great pianist. So him, I had a humanities professor at the conservatorio that he kind of changed my perspective on life. So to this day, he was a major influence in my life in during the undergrad years. And then during my master's, I had a few, but so my main professor, Ricardo Lorenz, but then at Mark Sullivan, they were very good mentors to me, and helped guide my path as a composer. Because I'm very interested in the instrumental side, but I'm also very interested in electronics. I'm also interested in film music and video game music. And the video game music I haven't done that much, but on the film music, I've worked with a few short films, a documentary for friends of mine, called Wanderlust. So it's a full feature documentary. And without the guidance of all of these people, maybe I wouldn't have gotten here, or maybe I would have, but in a different path. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm probably forgetting. I can't forget. So my wife, she's always been very rock, very supportive these last 7 years. So yeah, my number one fan.
Shout out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Save the most important for last, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been mentioning some of your mentors from when you were in doing your master's at Michigan, and we've had a chance to hear one of your most recent compositions. Can we do a little flashback Friday and listen to
Yes.
some of your pieces from master's era, Gabriel? And I also understand we have a photo of you too we can share at some point of you at your undergraduate recital.
Yeah. I forgot about this picture until yesterday. We started talking about images, and we're like, let me see what I can find.
Oh yeah. I was like, Gabriel, you got to find us some fun photos. Oh yeah. So tell us about this photo.
So this photo is my my undergrad recital in the Conservatorio de Música de Puerto Rico. And that recital, I had a lot of pieces for percussion ensembles, as you could see here. And leading to the recital, I think a month and a half, I broke my foot, as you can see right there, carrying a wooden crate. But I still managed, to do the recital. It was a cool recital. I really enjoyed it. And it was the first time, it was a new building, and I was one of the first students to have a recital in this space. Now, unfortunately, they did open the bigger spot, the main recital, like a year later. I was like, really bummed.
Yeah.
But that was fine.
That's awesome.
Right,
and
so
a good testament to perseverance, right? Even if you smash your foot, you can still put on a great.
Yeah. But you know what? Another thing. So when I left Michigan State, they started building a new facility. It was like, boom, bummer. All right. So talking about Michigan State, so let's play this recording in SoundCloud. So unfortunately, of this video, this audio track, I don't have a video. For some reason, when you're doing like a master's thesis, some little things sometimes slip, and the video was one, but I did get the audio. This is a 5 or 6 movement piece, and called La Ventana de mi Imaginación. And it's based on poems by a Puerto Rican political prisoner. He's got free about 2 or 3 years ago. But these are letters that he wrote to his daughter and granddaughter. And they're very beautiful letters, about life. And so I took a few of them, and I created this overall story about family, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And you're gonna listen to movements 2, and it's gonna jump into movement number 3. We're just gonna play movement number 2, but I'll give a little glimpse of movement number 3. It is for multi-percussion, electronics, and the live narrator. And there's going to be narration also in the speaker system, but so it's 2 musicians and then the computer. Awesome. All right, so let me start that.
Oía el ruido del tren y el cantillo de las chicharras. Corría por la tierra y la olía. Podía agarrar la hierba y dejar que las mariposas me rodearan. Pero en Florence, todo eso terminó. En la oscuridad de la celda, la soledad golpea doblemente. En Florence por las noches, los presos se comunicaban a través de una especie de respiradero que estaba cerca del techo. Había que gritar para hacerse oír. Todos gritaban y aquellos que lo hacían era alterar los nervios. Yo callaba y trataba de concentrarme en el ruido de las olas. Cerraba los ojos y las veía romper contra la cueva de mi nube. Oía el ruido del tren y el cantillo de las chicharras. El griterío de la cárcel se iba desvaneciendo. El mar subía y bajaba como un torso, contagiándome su fuerza y su respiración. El mar es extraño siempre, pero creo que nunca lo necesité tanto como cuando me trasladaron desde la prisión de Macon, en Illinois, a las Flores. mar se extraña siempre, pero creo que nunca lo necesité tanto como cuando me trasladaron desde la prisión de Marion en Illinois a la de Florence.
Wow. I'm glad we played that piece in its entirety.
It was very hard to find a spot to stop it. It was hard.
It was worth it. Very worth it.
But then I forgot how long it was. I was like, "Ooh, it's 11 minutes."
Didn't feel like 11 minutes. I mean, not at all. It's pretty captivating. We have so many great questions in the chat too. I like that.
Yeah.
This piece really inspires a lot of conversation. And yeah, there's some talk going on in the chat about having a CRC premiere of this piece. So I think we should make it happen.
Yeah, we should make it happen. When I premiered it, so there's a theatrical element to it. In this version of the piece, the narrator is not live, so it's pre-recorded narration. But during the other movements, there is live narration, and whenever the narrator comes in, the narrator in this piece, it was me. I was behind a curtain, so I would turn on a little light, and you would see my shadow. So behind that curtain, I would like activate all the electronics and all that. But then when it was time for me to narrate, I would turn on the light and then start narration. So you had the percussionist, because this is just one percussionist. Alex Smith, he is a great percussionist. Sometimes I like listening now, I'm like, wow, I'm. And a lot of this, there was a lot of back and forth during the composition process, because I knew from the start I was writing this piece for Alex Smith, and I knew what he could do, and I took all of his feedback very seriously, because he's a great musician, and so his feedback I would incorporate into the composition, and eventually it came out like this. There were some things that I had that they would be too fast to go and then I don't know, go over there. So composers, keep that in mind when you're writing for percussion, that sometimes you have to move from one instrument to the other and you might not be able to click it on time.
I guess that's part of the joy of having a piece performed, is you get to learn those kinds of things from your performer.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's really cool. Thanks for setting the stage for us too. The visual.
Yeah, I should have done it at the beginning, but I totally forgot.
It's okay. That's cool. We have a question in the chat. Is it okay if I ask you it now?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is a question. Jewel asks, when you're composing a piece, at what point do you feel satisfied with it? And even though it feels like you could change this or that, you decide not to. When do you close the book, so to speak?
When it hits the deadline. No, in reality, usually I might finish the piece, but in my head, I always think of new things I could add to it, new things I could tweak. But I also know I need to move on. The piece needs to be what it is, and I start with a new composition. And maybe those new ideas I can incorporate into the new composition. Very rarely I finish the piece and I say, yeah, this is the final version. Maybe for the first one that we listened to in the group, in my head, I was going to continue adding stuff to it. But once I heard it, I was like, this doesn't need anything. I captured the moment or the state where I was, and it's all there. It's all recorded and I don't need to add anything else.
Nice. It's like a perfectly flavored sauce. Needs nothing
Yeah.
else.
And I don't know, maybe the other composers in the chat might want to chime in. Like, do you ever feel that you finished the piece in its entirety, or do you think there's always some little things that you want to change?
Yeah.
No.
Composers in the room. Let us know.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. I'm enjoying, we've gotten a chance to hear two very different pieces that you've created. I mean, In the Groove has a different feel, different process than the piece you just shared with us. I understand you have one more piece to share with us before we're done today that represents
That is true.
yet another creative process and another toolbox. Tell us a little bit about this piece.
So this piece, it's a concert band piece, and I wrote it for the CRC concert band. And particularly the event was, so I wrote this piece for Grant Parker's retirement concert. He retired in
2019, I think.
Yes.
Probably, because that's when I started.
Yeah, May 2019. I think it was May 15th, 2019. And so I never written I've done arrangements for, by this time, I've done arrangements for a concert band piece, but I was like, well, maybe I could talk to Grant. Maybe he could play some composition of mine. At the time, I didn't have anything. So I talked to Grant and was like, can I write a piece for the CRC concert band and then, have it played for your final recital? And he said yes. And throughout I don't know, it was a period of 5 months, I would go into rehearsals and we would tweak things. The name changed like 3 to 4 times. It started with murmurations and then went back to waves and then back to murmurations. And eventually I called it sempervirent. So it's like the Latin name for the redwoods. And why is that? So I wanted to write a piece that, like, I don't know, like would describe what I love about California or what my favorite feature of California. Now, I love California beaches, but then again, I come from an island where in Puerto Rico is beautiful. I mean, beaches are beautiful,
Yeah.
And the water's warm and clear. And I still love California beaches, but there was something that I always liked more, and it was going on hikes on redwood forest. There's something magical for, at least for me, to them. Seeing these giant old trees, very resilient trees. And so that's why I call it that. That's like when I think of California right now, to this day, it's still my favorite places to go, where redwood forest, I just love it.
Yeah.
So this piece, I guess it's my, I don't know, my rendition to, like, I guess, to my favorite place in California at the time. And it's not particular to one redwood forest. It's like in general the concept of a forest and redwood forest in particular, that I love.
I love that. That is true. I mean, there's no other place like the redwood forest. Just the smell and the sort of the feel of being under the trees is, yeah. I'm from Ohio. There are no redwood trees there, and yeah, it's a pretty great experience. Very magical.
And then coming from Puerto Rico, which is mostly like a rainforest setting, we don't have redwood. So for me, it was very, totally opposite of what I'm used to, but it was so cool. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So I understand you have a video of this piece to share with us.
Yes.
Cool.
do.
Let's check it out. And while Gabriel's queuing that up, I'll just share with everyone that we do hope to see you again in the studio performance this semester. We have several great guests lined up for this fall. So in the chat right now, I'll put a link to our upcoming performances. We'll also make sure we have that link in the YouTube recording of today's special guest performance, Gabriel Rivera. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for joining us. And maybe before we turn to watch this piece, if you could share with us, where can we find you? Where can we follow what you do and listen to your music?
Okay, well, you can, there's 2 ways. You can go into my website, which is Gabriel Rivera. GabrielJRivera.com.
Okay.
That's probably the best way you can find that. That's linked to my YouTube and to my SoundCloud.
Awesome.
So that's probably the most central way to find my music.
Cool. And for folks watching this,
And also, emailing me too. If you're interested in something, just email me. I might have some. Not everything I've done is publicly. It's not online. As I kind of mentioned before, like doing that meditation album. I have a lot of pieces that are definitely not meditation, but they're good for other projects that are still working with. So hopefully one day I can have them released.
Awesome. We've had some great questions in the chat. I know we haven't had a chance to get to all of them. So if you still have a question for Gabriel, you can reach out over email. You can find Gabriel's CRC email on our website, follow him on social media, and of course, the best way, take a class. Learn how to use Pro Tools and make some music of your own, right? Embrace your creative process.
Okay, so let's play Semper Videns, conducted by Grant Parker and the CRC concert band. Hope you enjoy.
Awesome. A lot of nostalgia for the recital hall watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as Kurt said in the chat, I mean, how awesome that the concert band performed your music. I mean, yeah, agreed. A great experience.
It was a great experience, to be honest. And not only getting them to play it, on a final concert, but being with them in a rehearsal and, taking feedback from all musicians. It was a very good experience. And it's not the first time I had that experience before, but every time you always learn something, because it's so composers, whenever you can sit on a how do you call it, a rehearsal for a concert band piece, an orchestra piece, or an ensemble piece, I try to do that, because sometimes seeing a musician play something might reconsider an idea you had for the composition, for the better, right? So at this day and age, sometimes we're very used to writing on the computer, and if Finale, Doric, or Sibelius can play it, anybody can play it. But I mean, it's a computer, it's a machine. So once it goes into paper, and somebody's performing it, there's a whole different story. That's when the beauty comes out. So go to rehearsals.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's also a lot of fun as a performer to play a brand new piece, know that you're the first one playing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, being a part in your own way of that creative process is really cool. So if you are a performer, offer to play new music, support new music. You'll find it enriching, and it challenges your performance skills too, because you're going to be asked to play your instrument in a way maybe you haven't before, and learn a whole new aspect of your instrument.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. This was really fun. Gabriel.
It was.
Cool. Yeah. I hope you had a good time too.
I had a great time. Next time we have to do the coffee and tea podcast.
Yes, keep an eye out. We are going to do a podcast about coffee and tea. It will take the nation by storm. Watch for that on your commute. Awesome, everyone. Well, anything else we should do or say?
Yeah. Let me see. I just raised my own hand. Wait. So I know there's a question on the Q&A, and I think I answered all of those. I think I answered all of those. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, please email me, riverag@crc.losrios.edu, or you can contact me via my website. If any questions you have about composition, any of our classes we're offering, please let me know. I'm very happy to answer your questions.
Cool. Well, Gabriel Rivera, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us today, but also thank you for everything that you do for the music department. Thank you for making us.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's my pleasure doing this for the department. I know it's a great project that we are doing in the studio, and we're going to continue doing. Remember, the 50th episode, we're going to do something cool.
Yeah, we're going to
figure out when that's up.
Yeah, the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool, everyone. Well, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, wonderful rest of your week. Please come next week. Join us in the studio. Join us for future performances. Check out our YouTube page. Follow us on social media. You can see all of Gabriel's posters and cool graphics he creates for us there. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Our handle in both of those places is music@CRC. Music and then spelled @CRC. So follow us, join us again. Thank you so much for being here today. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Take care.
And thank you for having me, and everyone have a great weekend, and also take care.
Bye.